Hello, friends. So we are back with part 2 of the chapter 8. And the name of this chapter again is Why Unnecessary Chaos. So let's do this. The funny thing is, I already knew that answer from Self-Worth 101, 105, 110, and 115, as mentioned before. But my higher self wanted me to know it on a deeper level, a much deeper level, so that I never needed to unconsciously question myself again. Then I received the knowledge that I was also being taught once again to trust my own answers, my own intuition. That even if my answers are being questioned, even if someone, anyone, doesn't agree with my answers, even if my answers don't make sense to someone, to anyone, that I should trust what I know to be true, what is being revealed to me by divine consciousness within myself. And I just want to add a commentary to this. It's so funny that I'm doing this chapter right now because just a few days ago, I knew something to be true within myself. And because someone did not, didn't act or respond in a way that I thought they would, or didn't validate what I thought to be true, in that moment I questioned myself. So once again, we are always relearning and relearning and relearning and unlearning and unlearning and unlearning. It's a continual process. So, all right, back to the book. I was also being taught again to surrender to my higher consciousness and never to look for answers outside of my inner knowing. That all the answers I will ever need is always right inside of me, waiting to be discovered as many times as I need to in order for me to fully know it. Really know it. Not just know it because someone told me or because I intellectually or logically figured it out, but because my own soul revealed it to me personally. When you know something on that level of understanding, that's when you can teach it with conviction of the heart and soul. And boy, can I teach that with conviction of the heart and soul today. So, all right, every lesson, every unlearning, every unveiling, every step, walk, and crawl through this process of awakening to your true soul essence is multifaceted. It is never just one lesson, nor is it just one lesson at a time. If you look, you will always find the deeper meanings and multiple lessons within each experience. And you will begin to understand on a very deep level that your awakening process does not end. Ever. Fear not, though, brave soul. It does get easier and more enjoyable. Sometimes. We journey through what would be called sessions or stages of awakening. We go through an experience of an unraveling and unlearning. Then our consciousness leads us into an interval of rest, and we integrate what we learned in that lesson. And then the process of unraveling and unlearning begins again. Sometimes, actually, most of the time, we travel through lessons more than once because there are multiple layers that need to be unraveled and deeper dimensions of understanding that need to be gained. But this process is always for our highest and greatest good, and for the highest and greatest good of the collective consciousness. Here in this dimension on planet Earth, the lessons are vastly different than in any other dimensions. But we are always in a state of evolving, no matter where or how we exist. Even in dream states, we are evolving. I haven't received confirmation of my theory of this one experimented belief I have yet, and I'm not sure if I will in this lifetime, but I personally believe that when we dream, we are traveling to parallel dimensions and experiencing ourselves in different life scenarios, very often with people who are in our life now, but may be in a different position in our life, such as a parent or a friend, maybe a sister or a child in a parallel dimension. I do know for certain that other dimensions, parallel dimensions, exist, as I've traveled to during many times of being completely awake and fully conscious. I've also received divine knowledge of such information. But as far as traveling there in our dreams at night and experiencing ourselves living in multiple lives, in multiple dimensions simultaneously, the jury is still out on that. So, back to the beginning. Why unnecessary chaos? As stated in the first paragraph of this chapter, chaos brings about change. Not just any change, but change of great proportions. In the previous chapters of this book, we talked about contrast and how there are two different ends of the spectrum. We are always in a state of flux and bouncing between those two ends of the spectrum until we learn how to master all aspects of ourselves, mind, body, and soul. As you notice, I didn't use the word spirit in that combination. Our spirit, our true soul essence, is always in a state of balance, is always in a state of mastery, is always in a state of expression, is always in a state of being, is always in a state of pure love. Our true soul essence is divine perfection, divine oneness, and divine love. But here's the puzzle key. We came to this dimension of earth wrapped in humanness so that we could evolve through the lessons that are available to us on this planet. Part of being human is making mistakes, having human attributes that are positive and not so positive, getting lost in the process sometimes, time and time again, believing others, believing governments, believing illusions, and so on and so on and so on. Sometimes humans make a mess of things. Sometimes a large group of humans can make a real mess of things that affect the masses. And sometimes the negative aspect of our own egos can keep us from acknowledging our mistakes, taking responsibility for our mistakes, and correcting our mistakes. And when that happens, there is a negative ripple effect that takes place that can cross through time, space, and dimensions. Everything is multifaceted, and everything is connected. It's also no surprise that the society that we all live in, across all countries, is going deeper and deeper into a state of chaos. A lot of people believe that we are in the end times, according to text from the book of Revelations in the Holy Bible. It would not be unreasonable for some to believe that. It appears to human logic that signs are aligning to that prophecy. The media outlets even use certain phrases in their stories that are stated in the book of Revelations. It really does appear to be unfolding according to that text in the Bible, doesn't it? I'm not here to debate the validity of the Bible. I wouldn't even think of doing that. But what I am here to do is share with you a different perspective. Then you can seek within and connect deeply with your own true soul essence and decide for yourself what you believe to be true. Because that's what we should do with every single thing that we hear, every single thing that we see, and every single thing that we have grown comfortable with in believing. especially with what we have been taught to believe, because that is where the tool of conditioning comes in. Beliefs that get passed down from generation to generation without ever being questioned or challenged. Beliefs that get transmitted to you by persons with positions of authority. There are a few tools that, when used in the appropriate amount, at the precise moments, and with enough people backing it, especially if they are celebrities or politicians or religious figures or well-known individuals, that will cause an effect of mental conditioning. Sometimes the conditioning can be so subtle and so convincing because it's being backed by people that you respect or you think would be acting in your best interests, that it just occurs so seamlessly without you even consciously being aware of what is happening. But it happens, and it's been happening for a long, long time. And that concludes part 2 of chapter 8, Why Unnecessary Chaos. I'm sending you all lots of love, lots of light, and lots of activation energy.